Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We're taking a quick look at Storj, and just before we do, we're going to look at Bitcoin, get a quick peek at that awesome situation, see what's going on. I hope you're all enjoying the flash sale here today. It's kind of cool. It's like we get a sale on Black Friday in the crypto market, as we do in most other markets. So I guess that's one way to look at it, right? All right, so I've had these charts pulled up here for a little while, kind of anticipating this. I wouldn't say specifically, wasn't expecting the candle to be so red in just one day, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. Just bear in mind, what goes down takes a little while to come back up, right? So you shouldn't expect the price just to ramp right back up. It'll probably consolidate closer to 54,000, right in that range. It does look like it's kind of hovering right at that point. So it's a little too early to tell kind of what's going on, but obviously the bottom dropped out and we lost that support of 56,000. And now at this point, it's pretty much just going to have to kind of reestablish itself down here and start making higher highs and higher lows. Again, too premature at this point to understand specifically what Bitcoin's going to do next. There's no real way to understand that specifically until we have more data. But I can tell you that we're probably going to spend a little bit of time down here within the next week or so, and then we'll probably start seeing things come up early December. That's my speculation. So again, Bitcoin isn't in terrible shape. We kind of expected this. So hopefully you've been dollar cost averaging and you set some nice limit orders for ETH and Bitcoin. But all in all, not terrible considering we kind of saw this coming, right? At least I expected this to happen. And I've been warning my members for some time now. So let's go ahead and take a look at Storj. This is contrary to Bitcoin. Look at that. The price goes straight up at the exact same time Bitcoin went down. It's interesting. We could almost reverse this and see a Bitcoin pattern. Now, what that means, hard to say specifically. Storj has been good about sporadic price movement in the past. You can see I've covered it a few times. And what it's doing right now, I believe, is testing its all-time high. No, sorry, that is not the all-time high. That is the highest one-day candlestick close, right? It's 314. So just note that the highest one-day candlestick close is essentially a major resistance level. And of course, the all-time high is also. So you just got to understand that this is a resistance channel that the price, once it travels into, should likely get rejected. We saw that here today, but also bear in mind that was overextended, and the likelihood of it staying up there is pretty low, because if you know and you've seen anything with Storj, it has a tendency of ramping up and then correcting itself about 50% of the way in which it started. So you can see here, this increase here went all the way up to about 290 and it came right back down to the halfway point at $2. This is what we should expect here from the more recent price action, and we're going to be able to look at Fibonacci retracement lines to identify that, but we should expect the price to come down somewhere close to about 250, 260. That'd be my speculation, again, just based on previous moments. Now, is it going to continue to increase tomorrow, the day after? We don't know. Kind of early to tell, but we can find out here soon. It does look like it has some pretty good momentum. It's making higher highs and higher lows in the one-day chart, which is all good thing. These are all really good things. It's a good stuff. Now, the price is above 70 on the RSI. That's actually really good. When we see the price come down and bounce off 70 on the RSI, that's when we know we're still in bullish territory. Okay, so it's really good actually the way that this RSI has been just slowly pushing up to 70 and kind of staying below. With it ramping up past that today, that basically reaffirms that as a potential support level. So we should expect the RSI to come down over the next couple of days, if it were to say, for example, and it to bounce off of 70 at that point. That would imply we are still in bullish territory, bullish trend, and we want to maybe consider adding to our position. Right. So again, I don't like to use the one-day chart specifically as the way in which you want to take entry on any type of coin, right? You don't use that as a determining factor, but it definitely helps you understand that we're on the right track with Storj. Now, this red candle we see here on the 4-hour chart is pretty darn standard. We see that a lot, and it's pretty normal. I mean, it's still moving, as a matter of fact, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues down a little bit further. But then again, I would also be surprised if it continues upwards based on the sheer fact that it looks like it's very, very overextended here. In fact, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. TD sequential says we're at a 4, but we got a reset here, and that makes sense. Okay, so no overextension per se on TD sequential in the sense of an exhaustive state for Storj, but we do need to acknowledge the fact that that was a significant increase in a short amount of time, and we can see about a 42, upwards of about 55% increase in 12 hours. It's quite a lot. It takes a little while for that to stabilize. So at best case scenario, I'd say is the price is going to go sideways for some time and then an increase perhaps after. So we'll have to take another look at this maybe again soon, just kind of identify that. But simply put, with the price being up as high as it is right now, I would not, I expect it to come down a little bit further or stay close to where it's at. So we'll see what happens. Now, taking a look at the moving averages, prices above both moving averages, that's all well and good. RSI is back under 70 on the 4-hour chart. I'd prefer it to stay under 70. I don't love it when the RSI stays over 70 on the 4-hour chart, just because it kind of gives us that extremely overextended state. Because again, the RSI, the smaller time frames you go, the more, the more, faster it's responding, right? So it's a faster responding RSI. So it basically tells us in the last 14 candlesticks, we are essentially we're seeing this as an extremely overextended state, right? It's overbought, therefore it's going to come back down. And if you see my RSI video, you typically want to sell your position or trim your position, if nothing else, when the RSI comes back down under 70. You get better profit that way than when it comes up over 70. All right, so moving on to the 1-hour chart, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. And you can see that it's trying to level out right around 280. So we got a potential support level here. And this could very well be a Fibonacci retracement line, just based on the sheer fact that we can kind of see what's going on with that. It keeps getting stopped out right there in a good way, right? That's almost essentially the baseline. Now, will that hold? A little too early to tell again, a bit on the overextended side. We don't know just yet, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6, now 7. 7 times it's attempted to break that plane and hasn't yet. That's a good sign. We like to see that. Okay, so we're looking good there. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at Ishimoku Cloud. And this is something to note here. This also kind of gives us the sentiment that it'll probably likely not continue upwards. Again, a little too early to tell, but here's the reason why I say that. First of all, the baseline is below the conversion line. That's good. That's all well and good. But as soon as the conversion line comes down and intersects with the baseline, that's an indication of a sell signal. We're not there yet, but I feel like it might get there soon, right? Because those are essentially moving averages in a lot of way. And then, of course, we got this lagging span here. As soon as this lagging span intersects with any price action, then and only then is considered a sell signal. And sorry, not only then, because you still want to use the conversion of the baseline. Those two help. But this essentially tells us that the price not being intersecting with that, we have a scenario where the price is probably going to either continue to go sideways or down. But the end all be all here, basically what I'm trying to summarize here is that when you hit this plane, as soon as this lagging span intersects with the price action, that is when you sell your position. Okay. So again, I would recommend waiting to see the price continue sideways and see what happens, of course. I do feel like this is a pretty decent support level here so far at 280. Yes, it's only on the 1-hour candlestick, and I prefer to use the 1-day candlestick for support and resistance levels, but we can only really use what we have so far because this is a fairly new increase. But what I'm getting at is that the Ishimoku Cloud is telling us that we're trending towards a potential sell position if the price doesn't increase soon, right? Because it's just inevitable. I would say in the next 8 hours, we're going to see that price intersect with the lagging span, and that would put the price action somewhere right around here. All right, so just something to be mindful of. That's pretty much telling us that we're in a position where we might want to consider trimming. Not to say that you have to sell your position. It really depends on what kind of entry you have, right? If you're long-term holding Storj, don't even worry about it. None of that matters. But if you just say you bought down here and you wanted to sell somewhere where the price is at, you might want to consider taking some profit just based on the sheer fact that it may not continue to progress upwards immediately. Okay. Now moving on to COTD sequential, we can see here we went up to a 9, came down, got a nice little reset. So good news is it's consolidating well. It's doing a good job of consolidating and going sideways right now. So that's awesome news as well. So again, mostly good stuff here for Storj. It doesn't look like it's going to tank and drop the bottom out, at least at this point in time. Support's holding at about 280, and we have a nice little consolidation period here, even though it's a little bit on the sporadic side. It's definitely doing well in the big picture. So that's kind of where we're at there for Storj. Not bad, not great. Much better than it was before. That's for darn sure. It's pretty much the only coin that's up 25% on the day. That's for certain. So it is interesting how this moved contrary to Bitcoin and didn't really get impacted by that. In fact, it probably did to an extent. It probably corrected itself a little bit more than it should have based on that sentiment. But all in all, we're looking pretty good there. What we can do too is look at kind of a best case scenario here. Let's just go with the Fibonacci retracement, and we'll go ahead and go with the we'll go with kind of a longer time frame, right? So we'll go back. This is roughly about 2 weeks worth of data. And what we're going to see here in this scenario is if, roughly in the next 2 weeks, if Storj continues to repeat the same behavior, we could see a price of upwards of $5.23. So that's a potential for Storj. Now, again, that's a bit on the liberal side. I do think we're going to see a little bit of a correction, consolidation, because it does have a tendency or a history of, kind of retracing and then having like a nice little bowl shape pattern. So we could see this form as a cup and handle eventually, but I'm not trying to stretch that. Anyways, 523 would be a best case scenario in the 2 weeks, the upcoming 2 weeks here. And just pay attention to where the price holds. I think it's going to hold at support about 280 for now. And then obviously we can take another look at it soon. So thanks to my patrons for requesting I cover this. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Really do appreciate your time here. Look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.